I think that if you're going to hire a company, hire somebody that is already cracked the code and specializes in your niche. They're going to be less mistakes, less frustration, better collaboration, better results, and then also look into the history. I feel like there's a lot of new agencies out there, right? And they're saying that their AI is the best or they got some type of results. Somebody can easily take a couple of case studies and make themselves look big and very experienced. But the proof is in the pudding. Look at how many years they've been in business. Somebody been in business for 1 year. You think they're going to be the best in the market? I don't think so, man. I could they be up and coming? Absolutely. Could they, and some people build like intellectual property, some specific software that will specialize in something. And maybe they got great at that. So let's honor where it's due, right? But always look into the history and the niche and what they really specialize in. Don't get with like a generalist that works with all of them is what I live by, because those guys always have to learn, well, what works best for dentists and doctors and physical therapists and gyms and electricians. And do you really crack the code on that? Or are you just implementing the same thing with everybody, hoping it works?
This episode is brought to you by 10X Nerds. If you're a business owner doing real revenue, there's a good chance you're overpaying in areas you haven't even looked at. Things like credit card processing, insurance, telecom, and more. 10X Nerds comes in, audits your expenses across 30 plus categories, and finds immediate savings. And here's the kicker. They only get paid if they save you money. It's a complete no-brainer. If you want to keep more of what you make, go check them out at 10xnerds.com. This episode is brought to you by my friend Silas Lagoy over at ForgeMark Wealth. If you're a high-income business owner or professional and feel like you're getting crushed by taxes, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not stuck. ForgeMark Wealth specializes in advanced legal tax strategies and wealth planning designed to help you keep more of what you make, grow it efficiently, and actually build long-term freedom, not just income. If you're making serious money but don't have a real strategy behind it yet, I highly recommend connecting with Silas and his team. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Builder's Bible. I'm on with Tony G, who is with Strictly Plumbers. And I love this, Tony. There you go. You got the toilet bowl coffee cup this morning. He's a marketing agency for plumbers, and I appreciate this. Anytime somebody has experience running a business and doing the thing, right? Because Tony, I don't know, man. Marketing agencies, people either love their agency or they hate it, but there is no in between, which is fascinating to me. And I would imagine that your experience as a plumber, you feel the pressure that every dollar that goes out towards spend needs to do something, right? So tell me about Strictly Plumbers and tell me about your background.
Right on. Well, thanks for having me, Mr. Andrew. I really appreciate it. Strictly Plumbers was born 9 years ago in 2017. And from 2002 to 2017, I was a plumber myself. And I was doing residential, service, and repair. Little bit of commercial, but it was all service and repair. And when I was out in the field, I started as an apprentice and I became a plumber. Then I became a salesman. Then I got into management. Then I got into upper management and started overlooking multiple locations, helping with the sales process. And so during that time is when I discovered, like some shops are short on calls. And what I mean by calls are leads, right? And for plumbers, there's different types of leads, different types of jobs, right? So it could be a low paying job or it could be a high paying job. And back then I was really big on drain cleaning with a sewer camera inspection that turns into a big sewer repair. And even though I did everything else with plumbing, including HVAC, that was some of the biggest tickets. So when I would hear things like, hey, there's no calls to run right now, right? It kind of tripped me out. I'm like, well, get some more, And so, um, I worked for a big corporate company called ARS, which is abbreviated for American Residential Services. And what they do is they go out and buy companies all over the United States. And nowadays there's a shitload of them. I don't know how many they have nowadays. Back when I was working there was about 50, so I'm sure they have a lot more now. And so I went on a mission to figure out, like, well, what makes the phone ring? Well, and what makes the phone ring with specific type of jobs that we're looking for? Because if I can load up my guys with the money making jobs, then everybody wins. The family is making money, and so is the business. And so I discovered, there's like a million things to do with marketing, but I wanted to get down to what works the best for plumbers. And I wanted to crack the code on that. So I spent a lot of years studying. I went back to school. I studied online advertising at San Diego State University. And, they taught me like this much compared to like how much I learned over the years of like, how to actually do it. So there's where to do it, and then there's how to do it. Right. And so once I discovered like where they get the calls the most, then I had to get into how. And, it took me about 2 years after I started the business to really like crack it and get really good at it. And we got really good at website design and SEO initially, and then we eventually grew into like Google Guarantee. We grew into Yelp advertising, and we also provide sales training and business coaching. Um, the business went from 0 to a million in about 2 years, 2.5 years. And so it took a little bit of time for me to do that. And we would grow by about $300,000 to $400,000 a year. And I kind of been coasting at about 2 million a year for like the last 4 years. And I'm real happy with my agency. I'm on that side of the fence, not just because the money, but what it brings, which is jobs for the plumbers, the business owners. We help feed families for the guys that are actually doing the work.
Yeah. Amen.
And I'm glad you said amen, because I'm a Christian man. I'm a father. I'm a husband. And, we pray out with our team every day, bro. So we put our best foot forward. We're an ethical company, and we just try to do what's best for the plumbers.
This episode is brought to you by Corberry Digital. If you own an HVAC, plumbing, electrical, roofing, or home service business and you're tired of wondering where your next lead is coming from, you need to check out Corberry Digital. Corberry specializes exclusively in helping home service companies dominate their local markets through SEO, Google Ads, local service ads, websites, content marketing, and lead generation systems that actually produce a measurable ROI. Their team doesn't just focus on clicks and impressions. They help contractors lower customer acquisition costs, increase qualified leads, and build a marketing engine that scales. What I like about Corberry is they understand the blue collar space. They aren't trying to be everything to everyone. Their entire focus is helping trades businesses win in their backyard and generate more profitable jobs. If you're looking to grow your business, improve your online visibility, and build a marketing system that works, visit Corberry.com and schedule a strategy session with their team. That's Corberry.com. Tell them you heard about them on the podcast. What's up, everybody? This podcast is sponsored by Grimes Financial Advisors. You've spent time and energy building a successful business, but here's the question. Do you have a real retirement plan or just a pile of investments? Our friends at Grimes Financial Advisors specialize in helping business owners and families create a clear roadmap for retirement through their proprietary retirement blueprint. Instead of focusing only on investments, they look at the entire picture: income planning, taxes, long-term care, legacy planning, and making sure your money is actually working for the life you want to live. I've gotten to know Dustin personally. One of the things that I respect most about him is he believes every financial decision should fit into a bigger plan. You shouldn't just chase returns. So whether you're 5 years from retirement or simply want a second opinion on your financial strategy, I highly recommend reaching out to Dustin and his team. Visit Grimes Financial Advisors to schedule your consultation and start building your own retirement blueprint.
The single best way I would argue to grow God's kingdom is in the marketplace. I think the next big movement of God is going to be in the marketplace, especially in the blue collar marketplace. So anybody that is using enterprise to grow God's kingdom, I'm in. I'm in on that.
That's tight. I got some connections for you.
Let's talk about that more in a sec, but put us on some game for some plumbers, man. You had me so interested. I was like going down the storyline with you. You went to the lab, you went back to school. The best way for plumbers to generate business. I mean, dude, I've heard it all. Like I still talk to the pest control and the roofers that are door knocking. Like I feel like I still hear people that are killing it with mailers, but like for plumbers, okay, is it LSAs? What's the secret sauce?
The secret sauce is to have an actual plumbing marketing blueprint. And we have one that we can give away for you. I'll give you the link so you can share it as well. And it takes multiple platforms. And, some bring more than others. I think Google and a website is probably your biggest chunk, other than like your recurring business, people coming back to you. In particular, so, some stuff costs more than others, right? Like Google pay-per-click ads works good, but it's really expensive, right? Google guarantee also works good, but it plateaus. You can only pull so many calls out of it. And then it's very sensitive with policy violations. You get missed calls or get a bad review, and all of a sudden they want to hold back the reins on the calls. And then SEO, which is done with your website, Google Maps, and the internet, that brings in the lowest cost per lead and a good volume. and then you have the retargeting ads through the Google network, right? Which means you put a pixel on the website. Everybody that visits your website, you retarget them on all kinds of different websites on the internet, so then you kind of become omnipresent and you're just everywhere at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are the 4 ways to get it done on Google. You mentioned the yard signs and the door knocking. All that stuff works as well, but it only brings in so much, right? And so you got to have like an arsenal for a marketing budget. And some companies are just smaller or bigger than others. And so you got to just work with what you got. And I do believe that organic calls are going to save you the most money in marketing. So a website and SEO is a great place to start, other than like your grassroots marketing, which is your flyers, your door knocking, your yard signs, etc. So
Yeah.
there's in-person marketing versus online marketing.
This podcast is sponsored by Action Coaching. If you're a home service business owner, ask yourself this: are you constantly chasing new leads or just keeping the business growing? Ben Jordan built a $100 million plumbing and HVAC company. Inside the Action Group, he teaches contractors how to create recurring revenue, strengthen leadership, improve sales, and build systems that reduce the owner's day-to-day involvement. Members get weekly coaching, practical templates, proven scripts, and strategies designed specifically for home service businesses. If you want to get out of the truck, build something that runs without you and creates real wealth, check out the Action Group on School and book your free consulting call.
I think the answer sounds like is comprehensive, but at a minimum, website and Google is where you would start. But it sounds like you built out an entire framework, which I think is powerful. It's interesting. I'm starting to see, Tony, more agencies say they will come in and kind of sit in the fractional marketing officer seat of your business, because a lot of these guys, the guys that swing a hammer, they don't want to think about this crap, and so I think the challenge is that it feels like there's no accountability for the spend. It's like we're just spending $100 a day on Facebook, and it's like, well, how do I know I'm going to return on that? And a lot of these guys feel like they're just they don't have good data to drive decisions to inform like where they go next.
That's a big deal. Tracking is a monstrous deal. You can do it through your CRMs like House Call Pro or Service Titan. Should have phone tracking numbers for every marketing channel, and then you got AI nowadays. It's just like taking over everything, right? And our SEO also implements AI. And, I see a lot of AI new companies that are saying SEO is dead. The only way to rank on AI channels is with really good SEO.
Principles are the same. right? Yeah.
So you can't do one without the other. So it's just a play in words, bro. You know,
Yeah.
SEO is not dead.
Although what I will say is, and I would argue this pretty strongly. I think if you are a contractor of any sort, you have got to be obsessing on how to be found on large language models. I mean, the shift in search over the next, 12 to 24 months is going to be insane. And so if you're not thinking about it now, I think that you're going to be losing a lot of bids and deals in the next 1 to 2 years. Do you feel like that's fair to say?
Yeah, big time. The shift where Google is king is happening, right? We went from the yellow pages, then we went online to Google, and now Chat GPT, Gemini, Perplexity, and all these other platforms are taking a piece of that pie, and you really should be in all of them if you want to grow and keep growing and not get left behind.
What is something that gets you fired up that we haven't talked about? It could be something related to marketing, leading your team. It could be a business principle you've learned. Like, what are some things that get you passionate that we haven't chatted about?
I'm pretty passionate about the business in general. There's a lot of topics I can relate to. I'll stick to two quick ones. One, if you are a business owner, and I'm just going to speak to the plumbers, and this would go for any niche, try to hire somebody that specializes in your niche, right? So it's like somebody comes to me and says, "Hey, Tone, I own a landscaping company. Can you do my marketing? I like you. I've been watching you." I'm going to say respectfully, no thank you, right? Why is that? Why would I turn down money? Well, it's not our scope of work. I've cracked the code on plumbing for marketers. I'm sorry, marketers for marketing for plumbers. And why go learn like something else, right? And so somebody would say, well, don't you want to become bigger? And I'm like, we're not small, and I'm real happy with where we're at. And I'm not trying to take over the world. We've grown this business as much as 28 staff members. That shit gets a bit stressful, bro. Like, I don't need to be the biggest company in the world. But I definitely want to be profitable and successful, and we're there. And so I'm happy with what the Lord has blessed us with, So, I think that if you're going to hire a company, hire somebody that has already cracked the code and specializes in your niche. They're going to be less mistakes, less frustration, better collaboration, better results. And then also look into the history. I feel like there's a lot of new agencies out there, right? And they're saying that their AI is the best, or they got some type of results. Um, somebody can easily take a couple of case studies and make themselves look big and very experienced, but the proof is in the pudding. Look at how many years they've been in business. Somebody been in business for 1 year. You think they're going to be the best in the market? I don't think so, man. I could they be up and coming? Absolutely. Could they? And some people build, like intellectual property, some specific software that will specialize in something, and maybe they got great at that. So let's honor where it's due, right? But always look into the history and the niche and what they really specialize in. Don't get with like a generalist that works with all of them is what I live by. Because those guys always have to learn, well, what works best for dentists and doctors and physical therapists and gyms and electricians. And do you really crack the code on that, or are you just implementing the same thing with everybody, hoping it works?
Yeah, gotta be niched out, man. You gotta have experience in the specific space. I love that. Well, Tony, where can people learn more about you and what you offer? Where can they go online to find out more about your business?
Strictlyplumbers.com. I named it Strictly Plumbers. That's all I want to work with. I'm a plumber myself. Strictlyplumbers.com. Some people spell strictly with a CK. It's spelled with a CTLY. All right. So strictlyplumbers.com. That's where you can find my website. You can, we build websites, so it looks good. It performs well. And, there's a menu. You click on our services and you can see everything else that we perform and help with. That's the best way. On there, you'll see our phone number. The best thing you could do is like schedule a free meeting where we would have a Zoom And, you schedule a day that works best for your calendar, a time that works best for the day. And it's best to be at your computer versus a phone because the screen is this small compared to that big. And when we peel back the curtains and we show you how we actually do it, it's hard to see it on something this small. You want to be able to see the details versus pinching the screen. So the Zoom screen share is the best because it's kind of like right now, right? You feel like you're in front of each other. It's way better than a phone call. Ask any questions you want, and we will provide you our pricing, the expectations. Every service has a different expectation on how long it takes to get jobs, right? So paid ads work a little faster, or organic is a little slower, but it's less expensive. And so you got to find that happy medium. Most companies are doing both, which is what they should be doing. But yeah, schedule a free meeting on strictlyplumbers.com. We'll do the Zoom screen share and help you out as much as possible.
Amazing. And just, keep in mind, everybody, it's a marketing agency, not a dating website, because it reminds me, Tony, of Farmers Only for some reason. That's what it made me think of.
There's a company that did that. And I was working on my business getting trademarked, and I came across theirs, and I also been seeing them online. I'm like, there they are again. That's awesome. Plumbers.
A dating website for plumbers?
No, it's actually a plumbing company, but they just named it. I think it's
Strictly
either plumbers only or plumbing only. I thought it was pretty clever.
That's great, man. Well, thank you, Tony, for coming on the podcast. Don't go anywhere because I want to keep talking, but thanks for coming on the show.
You got it.